Hi everybody. Um, I don't go live on here often. The last time I was going live was because I was reading the Sibyls, and I know I got on here and told y'all that I'm going to read Copper Woman, which oh, is right here, and I will be reading that next week. But I'm just getting on here to share because I've been trying to mentally prepare myself to be more open about my healing journey, which is probably, I'll be ready to talk about aliens and everything else, but I get really emotional talking about this subject, but I know I need to share, so I will. And I'm finna go outside. That's why I'm looking so plain today. But listen, I've been reading Dr. Joel Pookram's book, as well as Deepak Chopra. I believe that's how you say his name. I've only flipped through this book, The Blessing of Somatic Therapy. And me flipping through this book today is what triggered this memory. And I've watched a ton of interviews of Dr. Gabor Mate, exploring the stress disease connection. And then everybody knows this book, The Body Keeps Score. So let's see, what was it? I saw biofeedback therapy in here somewhere, and it triggered a memory, and I began to write down my thoughts so I could put it on threads, and then something told me to just read what I was going to put on threads to you all first before I post it. So first of all, let me get a description of what biofeedback therapy is. Biofeedback therapy. Biofeedback is a technique that helps people learn to control their body's involuntary functions, such as heart rate, breathing, and muscle tension. It's often used to treat chronic illnesses, improve physical therapy, and relieve pain and tension. I remember going to biofeedback therapy. It had to be, I had to be maybe 14, and I didn't do that many sessions. I might have done like 3 sessions. And I remember it was like a really cozy office, and they had this screen that had a candle on it. And they would hook up these, I don't know what they're called. They will hook these things up to you to like monitor your breath and your heart rate. And you would just focus on controlling the flicker of the flame on the screen, because it was sensitive to your rhythm, the rhythm of your breath and your heartbeat. So it's basically teaching you how to, that mind body connection that we all need to have with our breath and with our heartbeat. That's basically what it teaches you. So, this triggered a memory, and I've been trying to figure out when I was going to talk about it because I wanted it to make sense, but I really kind of just got over that idea because I know that it's going to make sense once I share it. So, I'm going to read what I was about to post on Threads. I did biofeedback therapy back in 2006 or 2007 to manage my chronic pain after being diagnosed with amplified musculoskeletal pain syndrome, AMPS. At the time, it was called reflex neurovascular dystrophy. I think it was also called complex regional pain syndrome. Yeah. And it later developed the name, I probably can't say it on here, but the oocyte disease. And maybe I should give y'all a definition of what AMPS is. Let's see. I want to give you the direct definition. Wow, why can't I find it? Anyways, the way they explain it to me, and hi to whoever just entered in here, the way they explained my diagnosis to me, and this is back when it was called reflex neurovascular dystrophy or complex regional pain syndrome, is that my nervous system was not functioning or firing properly. So there's an amplified sense of pain. So most people that have AMPS developed AMPS from an injury. So the girls, that's another thing too. Most of the people that I was in treatment with were girls. And most of them were very athletic. They were dancers, gymnasts, athletes. AMPS is mostly found in high achieving children, mostly girls, in their adolescent type, like, I don't know if I'm using the right word, but a little bit before, I'd say between the ages of like 11 and 14. That's the ages of most of the girls that were there in treatment with me. And I did in-house therapy at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Prior to doing this program, I had been diagnosed with some other things by other physicians. So my diagnosis was complex as I was also diagnosed with JRA, while presenting symptoms of systemic lupus. I developed epilepsy as well. My journey to healing is lifelong as I understand my sensitivities and the need to constantly ground, challenge, and express myself. First off, AMPS mostly presents itself in high achieving girls in their adolescent years. The girls I went to in house therapy with were gymnasts, athletes, dancers, academically gifted, and either had an injury that onset AMPS or developed an autoimmune disorder like I did. We were all very active children until one day the pain grew so intense that we could no longer pursue the things that we loved. This is the most important part that doctors miss. The intense, crippling, depressive episodes that people with sudden onset illness develop. Let's talk about that. So, as girls and as high achievers, most of us learn to internalize our suffering and frustration. I was highly depressed, yet still high functioning. However, the body will stop when it needs your attention. For those diagnosed with AMPS, this is what happens when your body struggles to recover from an injury or your body is attacking itself due to an inflammatory autoimmune disorder. For me, it was the latter. I didn't come into, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I had an injury. I didn't come into this diagnosis with an injury like some of the other people that were there. There were some other people there that had lupus. It was a lot of people that I was in therapy with that was their diagnosis. Um, but the way my pain first started was I was at a dance practice, and I remember because prior to going to that practice, we spent a lot of time outdoors, you know, running and climbing and jumping and flipping and doing all the things. So I remember doing a lot of flips in the yard and kind of feeling my knee have this weird pain in it. But okay, like if I still want to do the flips, I'm going to do the flips. That's the type of person I was. So it was just mild discomfort, nothing that I couldn't keep doing. But then I would notice sometimes when I would get up or when I would do certain movements, I'd have this really sharp pain in my knee. And it just progressed really quickly. When I went to dance practice and I couldn't do the routine without this pain, that's when like fear immediately set in for me. Because I'm like, I've never felt like I couldn't get through some sort of discomfort when it came to my body. But y'all would have to forgive me because just the way that I'm set up, I'm so emotional that there's certain things that I don't have a full memory of, certain parts of my life I just do not remember, and that's just my brain's way of pushing me or propelling me forward. But there's certain details that I just don't really remember that much. So that happened, and then quickly it was like my whole body started to flare up. I remember my knee was really bothering me every time I put weight on it. So we started using like a cane, I think. I used a cane. And then that brought more problems with my arms. All of a sudden, my elbows and my arms and the joints in my hands and wrists started to flare up. So it was just like everything happened really quickly, and I ended up wheelchair bound. So let me keep reading. So I dealt with that, and then I dealt with because my family had a history of autoimmune disorders. It was a lot of blood work. It was a lot of the whole shit was just exhausting. It was mentally draining, mentally exhausting. I had to get taken out of school and all of that stuff. So when I talk about the intense, crippling, depressive episodes that happen when people have onset illness, sudden onset illness, I didn't realize at the time that I was highly depressed because my perception of depression was not being able to do anything. Like, this is a long time ago, so our understanding of these things of mental health is not what it is today. So, I was highly depressed yet still high functioning. However, the body will stop you when it needs your attention. Did I already read this part? For those diagnosed, yes, okay. So I'm sharing this because I have had so many full circle moments within the past 5 years. Now that I am a mother and over 15 years removed from my initial diagnosis, I understand how I got sick in the first place, and it's extremely layered. Extremely. It's the trauma, it's ancestral trauma, it is collective trauma, it's trauma. I went into CHOP in a wheelchair and left running, not without facing my fears and enduring the most excruciating pain. I have gaps in my memory because of the pain. When I left the program, I was so happy to be able bodied again that I didn't continue the work, the inner work, the shadow work, the therapeutic movement, art therapy, etc. My family was struggling, and as the eldest daughter, that felt like she put her family through a nightmare because of her own shortcomings. I didn't speak up for myself. I assimilated into a life that I thought would make everybody happy. I no longer wanted to pursue art and looked at careers in the health field instead. I fell back from dancing, singing, and playing instruments as frequently as I did in my youth because I felt like I would get sick if I put too much effort into what made me happy. Now at 29, after 5 years of relearning who I am, what I value, and how I choose to contribute to the world, I see that I have to face my fears. I'm not crazy, my pain is real, and I feel collective suffering in my body, and my ancestors would have considered me a shaman. The techniques that helped me recover were techniques that Western medicine calls somatic therapy. We used intensive physical therapy and supportive therapies like art therapy, music therapy, talk therapy, and biofeedback therapy for pain management. Now, as a practitioner of traditional medicine, I recognize these same methods in ancient healing arts like yoga and qigong. We even did desensitization techniques with surgical brushes to rewire the nervous system. So that's another thing. With AMPS, your circulation is at play with this particular illness. So not only did I have musculoskeletal pain within my joints and my tendons and my muscles and my ligaments, um, my nervous system was so inflamed that if somebody were to like brush their hands on me, if I tried to put on my clothing sometimes when I was in a flare, it would hurt so bad. At minimum, it would feel like somebody's just taking sand and like scraping your skin with sand, you know? But at its worst, it felt like pins and needles. You know, it felt like somebody's like poking you and stabbing you consistently, and you're just trying to put your clothes on, you know? So, this is because the nervous system is so shot that it's recognizing every sensation as pain, it's amplified pain. So, okay, yeah, I use body brushing today for the same reason. It stimulates the movement of lymph of surrounding tissue. So that's where I was going with this. The brush that we would use these surgical scrubbing brushes and like go against the skin like this. And it was actually the therapist who would do it because they would damn near have to pin me down because it hurt so bad. And it wasn't like without consent, it's just a part of the treatment process. It's almost like when burn victims have to get scrubbed down and they don't want to because their nerves are exposed. It's similar to that, if not the same. AMPS on the scale range is so intense that it's beyond labor. And I've had a child now, so I can confirm that it's no joke. And hold on, I gotta find the other part. The desensitization techniques with the surgical brush is something that I kind of do now, but I use like a body brush for my exfoliation and stuff like that, and moving the lymph to get the lymph going to surrounding tissues. But yeah, most of our treatment was intense physical therapy, desensitization techniques, and what else? A lot of like talk therapy and other ways of expressing yourself. I did some art classes. Prior to my diagnosis, I was very creative and very artistic. Like my family, my family is a band family. So I've just always been, it's just in my blood to be creative in some form, especially with music, musical expression. Um, I played the piano. I had to stop playing the piano because it had the arthritis had got so bad in my hands, and then the AMPS on top of it was just making it terrifying. I played the flute. I had to stop playing the flute. I stopped dancing. I had stopped baton twirling. Um, I basically just had to stop doing all the things that made me happy. And so now that I'm 15 years removed from my diagnosis, I'm 29. I'll be 30 at the top of next year. And I have a 5-year-old. And the things that happened during my pregnancy that really initiated my awakening and my understanding, and then my father passing within that same time frame. I got more connected to our ancestral traditions, and with that, our ancestral medicine. And the more I learned about myself, the more I learned about my ancestral heritage, and the more I learned about my gifts and what I came here to do. I really came here to practice traditional methods of healing, which now Western medicine has different terms for some of the same things that our ancestors have been telling us for so long. A lot of the traditions that some of them didn't really get kept alive had methods of healing by using all of the elements, using the water, using the fire, using the earth, grounding. If anybody comes across this video and you know somebody that is dealing with chronic pain, or even specifically this illness, which is really hard to diagnose, grounding techniques are really important. We all should be grounding, especially because of the amount of technology that we have now. We're forgetting how to use our original intelligence and the technology that is within our body. Nothing heals me more than just going outside. Going outside. I'm a sun person. I like to be in the sun. The sun for me is very healing. Although sometimes I also have some other stuff going on with my nervous system, which manifests itself as like these weird blotches on the skin. And it comes and goes. Like sometimes instead of that happening, the sun will just kiss me and I'll get tan. Other times I'll get like these really weird patches or blotches, and I used to be kind of embarrassed about it, but I really don't give a fuck now. The sun is healing. The ground is healing. If y'all follow me on Threads, I told y'all I had the weirdest dream a few nights ago about Kanye West, and he was in my dream, and I told him to take his shoes off and put them in the ground. Plant your feet in the ground. And I remember because it was drizzling in the dream and he didn't really want to do it, but he started to do it, and then he put his socks and shoes back on because he was kind of getting embarrassed. But me, I'm a tree hugger. I'm let me go sit by the oak tree. Since I'm outside, I might as well take my ass and sit up underneath the oak tree, because all these different elements have a way to heal. And if you develop a relationship with these elemental spirits, they know how to remove what needs to be removed from your body. I hate when my damn lip gloss does this. The water. The water is useful in so many different ways, but when it comes to healing, if you are somebody that deals with chronic pain, or you know a loved one that's dealing with chronic pain, they need to incorporate at minimum water, and the water element and the earth element, grounding yourself, but then also cleansing yourself with water. If they can visit a body of water, that is preferred. If they cannot visit a body of water, doing very simple spiritual baths, doing very simple cleansing or washing of the feet, which is really another way to do like a spiritual bath. When I'm telling clients of mine to do some sort of spiritual bath, I'm usually telling them to make sure that they wash their head, their crown, right? The place in which we take in a lot of our information, right here, your ori. But it's also really powerful to wash your feet. Because some people, they're not a fan of like getting their hair wet or whatever. So I always tell them, go wash your feet. Go outside. This is like a 2-for-1. Wash your feet. Get a solution of, I like using sea salt, water, and some sort of milk. For me, it's usually coconut milk, but you can also use goat milk. Something like white and milky. Go wash your feet and go plant them in the ground. That's very healing. And you have to tell these elements what you're asking them to do. They're sentient. They understand that you're using it for a purpose. This kind of goes beyond Western medicine's understanding of these things, and this gets more into like the traditional ancestral spiritual connection that we have with the elements around us. But it's still a really powerful remedy. Purifying yourself, for me, that looks like I do some rituals with fire, like a burning bowl ritual. I try and burn something at least once a month. It's usually, if it's not ancestor money, it's usually a note. Sometimes it's both. So if there's something I need to get off my chest or something that I need to express and say, and maybe I don't feel like maybe my frustration is not direct at someone and more so of a collective frustration, all I do is write all of that stuff down and I burn it. And if I'm going to present it to my spirits, always make sure I leave some money, either some pennies in the ground for my hoodoo babies, or I burn some ancestor money, like I don't have my ancestor money in here, but the Chinese ancestor money that you can get at like your local Asian store. My ancestors really like it, so that's what I give them a lot of the times. Just something to show them that for this exchange, I don't want you to go without. You know what I'm saying? It's a reciprocal relationship. What else do I have to say about this subject? Who's that? Hi, Jazz. Oh, I didn't even know he was up in here. Um, yeah, but I don't know. I just had a moment where I was tripping because I was about to step outside and I was going to take a book out there with me, and something told me to flip through the book that I had in my hand, and I saw biofeedback therapy, and then I had all of these rememberings of what it means to heal and what it means to have what real abundance looked like. I see you, Jazz. Hey, just learning from the Queen Mother. Yo, I was about to get on here and cry, but I'm too much of a G. I just couldn't do it. I'm not above crying at all. I'm a crybaby. It's just I have limitations. You understand? And I'm already on here. I'm still cute, but I'm already on here looking like, you know. But anyways, another thing I wanted to say before I get off of here is if we do not pour into the sentient body of this earth, of the mother, if we don't recenter our understanding, if we don't make room for the mother God, there is really no healing and no peace for anybody. And you can take that how you would like to take it. But we have to make room for the mother. Like I was telling somebody how if our only understanding of God is this punishing God that we have to fear and that we must be compliant towards, you'll never understand the grace and mercy and compassion of the mother God. Because the mother, in my eyes, mommy and I, the way mommy take care of me, the way mommy take care of me is just different. It's just different than what my original understanding of a higher power was. Like Sister Cassandra said, and I've shared some of her content on my community tab. If you don't understand the mother and how a loving mother wants nothing but the best for her children, she wants her children to grow. She wants her children fed. She wants her children sheltered. She wants them clothed. She wants her children to be happy. She wants them to find their joy, their purpose. She wants them to just be happy in their existence. That understanding is what will heal everybody. And we show all the time that we don't really care as much as we say we care about the earth, because those who are in positions of power do everything they possibly can to tear down the power of the mother. And that is extended to those with a womb. And I'm trying to get y'all to understand, like I just said, this particular illness that I was diagnosed with is most common in young women and girls. Autoimmune disease is diagnosed in about 80% of women, or rather 80% of those with autoimmune disease are women. So what does that tell us? It tells me that we are not existing in a reality that is safe for women. It's not safe for them physically, but it's also not safe for them mentally. It's not safe for them emotionally. There's so many emotional and mental acts of violence towards women. Women themselves initiate emotional and violent attacks on other women because of how we have been conditioned. So until we all come to this understanding, literally nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. We have to stop accepting everything as it is. And the other thing too is like everything is about to change. And some people are going to resist it, and other people are going to learn how to go with the flow. But in the meantime, make sure that you are covering the mothers. There's a lot of people with a lot of different perspectives when it comes to this whole divine feminine thing. But there's a reason why the feminine principle is drawing a lot more attention. It is because we are entering into a phase that is ruled by Saturn. Who is Saturn? The dark mother. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn and Aquarius. Two very similar energies, but also very different, right? I'm a Capricorn. I have a brother who's an Aquarius. I also have a really good sister that's an Aquarius. She's a sister friend. I've known her since we were young. And the thing about Saturn is she don't play no games. Saturn is your mama when she leaves the house on a Saturday to go run errands. Your mama got to go to the bank. She got to go to the grocery store. She got to go to her mama's house. She got to do all of these things. And she tells you before she leaves the house, I expect for y'all to clean up behind yourselves and leave out the food. Leave out some meat so I can cook dinner, right? That's what your mama asks you to do. Very simple instructions. She get back. The house is still dirty. Okay. Ain't nobody clean nothing. The meat is still in the freezer. And you broke a lamp. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Saturn is our consequence. Saturn is discipline. Saturn actually nurtures just as much as she enforces compliance and discipline. Because Saturn teaches you how to have discipline for yourself. And when you have discipline for yourself, that is an act of love towards yourself. Okay? Y'all be forgetting that Capricorn is also the sister sign of Cancer. And we know what Cancer is, the mother. Okay? I'm saying all of this to say if you don't focus on anything within these next few months, really 2025, I haven't done the readings yet, but I already know it's going to be interesting how 2025 goes. Saturn wants everybody to get their house in order. And your first house is going to be your temple, your physical body. Focus on your wellness. That is your abundance. That's the foundation of your abundance. And if we don't make sure that the women around us and the mothers around us are being supported and nurtured and taken care of, it's just not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Not a good outcome for anybody. I have so many thoughts. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and step outside. Y'all be prepared for me to get on here and read Copper Woman. That is a book that I feel like will support some of what I share here on this channel. Because I don't want y'all to just blindly listen to me. I want you to do your own internal investigation. I want you to read and research and do all of those things. But there is an attack on women because there's an attack on our mother, the earth, this planet. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. I wish all of you the best. Make sure you follow me on Threads, those on Patreon. I love y'all. And share this video with somebody that has chronic illness so that they have a better understanding of what is in their control and how they can manage their sensitivities, because that is what it is. You are sensitive to the collective trauma. You are sensitive to the ancestral trauma. That's what it is. All right. Bye, y'all.